Hey, how's it going, everybody? Pragmatic Addict here. So I just got out of the theater from watching Gone in the Night. So Gone in the Night stars Winona Ryder and John Gallagher Jr. They play a couple who is going to a cabin in the middle of nowhere, and it is for a getaway. But when they actually arrive at the cabin, there is another couple there who they do not know at all. And Winona's character is like, hey, we booked this cabin in advance. Why are you guys here? And they're like, well, we already checked in. All our shit's here. And so this whole situation happens. And the girl of the couple that we do not know, she's like, hey, why don't you guys just hang out here for the night? And then tomorrow you guys can, head off and we'll get this all settled. Well, that happens. And when Winona Ryder's character wakes up the next morning, her boyfriend Max, played by John Gallagher Jr., is now missing, and so we're trying to figure out where he is, what happened, and who these people are. So right off the bat, Winona Ryder and John Gallagher Jr. are not only an absolutely adorable couple, but they're a couple that I would not fucking expect. I mean, don't get me wrong, they absolutely do play themselves, which is, these eccentric, goofy, not really taking shit too seriously people. But they, again, play characters that you would not expect them exactly to play. I guess what I'm saying is that you'd never expect these two to play a couple together. And I'm more or less actually pretty glad that they did, because they actually make a fun couple and their chemistry actually feels pretty natural. So the movie starts pretty immediate in the sense of it just gives us a couple minutes of an introduction between this couple, Winona Ryder and John Gallagher Jr. They're actually on their way to this cabin, and within a matter of minutes, we see them arriving at this cabin in the middle of the night, meeting this couple. So yes, what I was saying about the plot earlier, yes, they arrive at this cabin that they booked in advance, and there's this other couple there that they do not know, saying that they already checked in, they can stay for the night, blah, blah, blah. So Winona Ryder's character and John Gallagher Jr. stay the night with this couple, which obviously, yes, is a no-go of a decision. But I just gotta say, again, Winona Ryder's character and John Gallagher Jr.'s, with the characters that they play, this actually doesn't feel like that wrong of a decision, at least for the movie. And don't get me wrong, it totally is, but with the tone of their characters, as well as the characters of this couple that we've just met, which have a very, typical, off vibe to them, a very unhinged sense of personalities, you just kind of accept that this movie just kind of has to do that. And one thing I do want to note, especially getting into this kind of portion of the film, is that it does feel like one of those films where just you feel like the film's just gonna get fucking nuts. Just by everything of it, the characters, the display, the setup, even the subtle yet, awareness to it all. And I gotta say, this is a film where me and Jacob were sitting in the theater, talking amongst ourselves, discussing, what was gonna happen, why it was happening, what was all going on, where it was gonna go. And I gotta say, that's always a fun time. And something I liked about this movie is that it is one of those, mystery drama thrillers that is laid out, debatably predictable. There is just enough breadcrumbs to, maybe help you put something, together in your head by, how this, strange couple's antics are, as well as how Winona Ryder's character is portrayed compared to John Gallagher Jr.'s, which Winona Ryder does play the common, smarter, more aware character, where John Gallagher Jr. is just kind of playing, the dumb shit who just doesn't see the problem with all of it. But where this story really starts to get going is basically while they agree to stay there for the night, Winona Ryder's character actually calls it a night pretty early. She goes to bed a lot earlier than everybody else. And when she wakes up in the morning, yes, John Gallagher Jr.'s character is missing. She meets up with the boyfriend of the other couple that claims that him and his girlfriend were actually hooking up and that he doesn't know where they went. And one thing I will mention is that while this film does do some things fun with this whole mystery kind of thriller setting, also, like I mentioned earlier, there are things that I wouldn't quite call, quote, predictable, but are pretty cliche. We get some side characters that have certain tones and character developments that, immediately when they enter the film, you're just like, oh, and then you spill your thoughts about, who you believe this character is going to end up being. And as far as Winona Ryder and John Gallagher Jr.'s characters go, they are just kind of doing what the film asked of them to do. But in saying this, they never really outdo anything or, bring any sort of, material or light to the movie that could actually make them stand out, not even as main characters, but even just as, this actor and actress, how known they are and how credible they are. They don't really do anything to really up that, which I did find a little bit disappointing and kind of weak. Also, as far as the plot goes with John Gallagher Jr.'s character going missing, the film does keep that relevant. It has some flashback scenes, some that actually do come off pretty cliche, but also some that, do keep things pretty intriguing and do, bring a sense of kind of tension to the film. But as far as actually pursuing, the mystery of his whereabouts, the way I think I can put this is that its setting in the midst of that is fine. As well as the characters, they're fine. But it doesn't quite get under your skin like it could. Though I will say, for a movie like this with as much hits and misses as it has, how everything actually plays out and how everything kind of, transpires, I do think that at times it does do more than less. But while the movie as a whole does have, some hits and plenty of misses, this portion of the film, that being, pursuing the mystery of John Gallagher Jr., this does feel like one of the weaker aspects of the film. There are a lot of filler and dialogue and just kind of character choices, more than, actual tension. And with saying that, just the overall tone of this kind of portion of the film does just feel vastly, vastly weaker than the rest of the film. There's not any, build up towards certain things a lot of times. Again, a lot of it is just kind of, characters talking about shit that we don't really need to hear. And, sometimes this goes on for minutes at a time. And also, I will say this now. The last, 30 minutes or so do feel like they're stuck in quite of a rut. You start seeing the film struggle more than, it has yet with, connecting things, with, concluding the whole thing and, bringing up, what actually happened and why and where it all started and where it's all going to go. You really start to see it go back and forth and kind of have a really bothersome pacing, which is just, it makes it hard for you to kind of play out some thoughts in your head and kind of build tension when it's doing so much back and forth shit. And finally, while I won't say that I quite had everything mapped out in advance, getting to the ending and the conclusion, it does feel like the rest of the movie where some of its execution, comes off a little bit watered down, and especially more during this portion than any time in the film. You get a lot of just genuinely fucking stupid character decisions and, cringe moments and dialogue and even the acting. You can tell that they're just it just feels like the last 30 minutes of the film, they just stopped kind of giving a shit about, because it is one of those films that once you get, before you get to the actual ending, you kind of have enough to, put everything together, and the last 20 minutes of this movie just didn't seem needed or even cared about at all. Overall, guys, I'm going to give Gone in the Night a 3.1 out of 10 with an overall strong negative review. I don't know, man, just by the end of it, it just kind of felt like a Lifetime drama in a sense, or something that you just see on CBS channel at 5 p.m. on a Sunday night. But yes, guys, that is going to do it for my Gone in the Night review. I don't know how many more movies I will be seeing this week. I do know that Nope comes out in just a few days now, so I might, kick back a little bit before we get into that week. But yes, guys, let me know what you thought about the review down below, as well as the movie for those who did see it. Again, this is in theaters right now, a limited release before going to streaming, I think, next week. So if you do get the chance to see it, let me know what you thought about it down below. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys are having a great and safe night. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care, and thank you so much for watching.